And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. For homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in, visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. But yesterday we had a birthday party for a friend, and we went another no free ad situation. I had some Indian food, which I really love Indian food, but man, the heartburn factor on the Indian food, even when it's not really spicy, like it really wasn't like especially spicy Indian food. Like, man, it'll sneak up on you. So there's my daily ailment update.
Not a huge risk of gout on that, right?
No, it's chicken tikka masala.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're good on the gout front, but the heartburn front, yeah, man. But it, sometimes, man, like it's worth it if you have to pound acid, reduction pills to enjoy, good food. I say go for it. I say YOLO.
Why not? Yeah. Why not? Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
I love Indian food. I love a good Indian buffet. I'm not going to lie.
I feel like I could eat it every day. I mean, I if I did, I'd probably eventually be like, okay, I need to switch it up. But seriously, I like good Indian food is, man, it's elite.
I agree. I like it a lot.
Ian, do you get heartburn when you eat Indian food?
You know what? Nothing really stands out now that Joe mentions that in particular.
That's good.
Yeah, but you never can tell. Every once in a while, if you overindulge, I think that's mostly where my heartburn comes in from, more so than the type of food.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I can't think of. I mean, Joe's right. It can get a little spicy, if you don't ask for, white person spicy, kind of stuff. You're like, not Indian spicy, but we like it American spicy. They'll give it a little bit to you and not go over the top. But yeah, I love good Indian food, especially a buffet.
That's a great thing for you, because I feel like my heartburn comes from being fat and old. I think those are the primary factors in heartburn for me. But yeah, if you don't have that issue, that's a great thing, man.
Give it 10 years and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Just 10 years. That's all it may take. We got actually a whole lot going on in the program today. Adam Kimelman from NHL.com will be with us at 7:15. It is the NHL draft week, so we'll get into some of that a little bit later in the show with him. Take a look at the Predators and what could be in store for them this week. We will get into a big move in college basketball that kind of reshapes the landscape there. Giannis to the my beloved Miami Heat late last night. We'll get into that move a little bit later in the show as well. So we got a whole lot going on the program here today. But, Joe, we begin with this. I have a couple of things on this. Number one, I want to congratulate Pekka Rinne for his induction into the 2026 Hockey Hall of Fame. He will go in alongside in the player category Patrice Bergeron, great player for the Bruins for a long time. Keith Tkachuk, what a week it is for the Tkachuks to this point, by the way.
Yeah.
That's going well. Carey Price, Cindy Curley, and Pekka Rinne going in as the players. Brian Burke in the builders category. So that's your class of 2026 in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So congratulations to Pekka Rinne. And he is now basically essentially the second homegrown Nashville Predator. Paul Kariya got in, Peter Forsberg got in. Neither one of those guys are known for the bulk of their careers being Nashville Predators. Shea Weber is, and you can throw Montreal in there. And Pekka Rinne is exclusively, he's a Nashville Predator. So it's awesome to see him get in the Hall of Fame. And number two, Joe, it is objectively hilarious that he is in the Hall of Fame the day after we started talking about the statue here on the show, and how I was like, yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of the statue unless you're like some all-time great player. So objectively hilarious, the timing of it.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. As soon as that came yesterday, I'm like, oh my gosh, what? Did Robby know? Was Robby setting everything up for this, or what's going on? So, is the statue cool now?
It's a little bit more palatable, I will say, if you're a Hall of Famer. I still would vote no, but it's more palatable for sure.
So you're not saying that because of this, they should like triple the size of the statue,
It's
make it, like tower over the city,
add to it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's the Batman building. It's dwarfed by Pekka Rinne's statue on the plaza of Bridgestone Arena, but there it is.
Like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, just like inflate it real big. Oh man, no, it's that really is crazy that it worked out that way, and also good for him. I wasn't certain that he would get in. We've talked about that before. Obviously there was a case to be made. He's in, but I don't know about you if you felt differently. I never thought it was like a lock.
I'm very surprised he's in. I'll be totally honest with you. I am. I mean, we go back a couple of years, and the conversation I used to have with a lot of people kind of revolved around those three guys of Shea Weber, Pekka Rinne, and then Roman Josi. We would add to it because you're kind of projecting forward. And just to be totally honest, I've for the last little bit here felt pretty good that Shea Weber was going to get in. Now I was surprised he was the first ballot. Felt pretty good that Shea Weber was going to get in. I still feel pretty good that Roman Josi is going to get in. And if you asked me to guess of the three, the one that wouldn't get in, it would have been Pekka. So I'll be honest with you. When I saw it yesterday, I was pretty stunned. Not because like it's just absurd or anything that he's in the Hall of Fame. I just thought as a goalie with some of the benchmarks that you've got to hit to get in the Hall of Fame and the level of just what history says about goalies getting in the Hall of Fame, I thought it would, if anything, it would take a little bit or that he just wouldn't get in. So I was pretty surprised yesterday when I saw it. Pleasantly surprised because, as a person, I mean, good Lord, if you've been around Pekka Rinne, I think pretty awesome guy. But I was pretty surprised when I saw it.
Is that a factor?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. Frankly, it probably shouldn't be. But look, I was talking with a couple people around the league because a couple people reached out to me yesterday, Joe, frankly, that were, I think, as surprised as I was around the league of him getting in. And then we were just kind of talking through it. And it's like, okay, well, a couple of things. He's probably, there's no probably. He is the greatest Finnish goalie of all time. And, I talk about that with Josi a lot. If he's the greatest Swiss hockey player of all time, that's going to matter when it comes to the Hall of Fame thing. Well, Rinne is the greatest Finnish goalie probably ever. Okay, so there's that. He did play for one team for 15 seasons. He did win a Vezina trophy, and he got to a cup final. I mean, there's if you want to dig into it, there's a lot. I mean, the win total's pretty good win total. Like, he's played a lot of games. Like, there's a lot that you can dig into to justify it. So, like I said, it's not absurd that he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm just frankly surprised he got in as quickly as he did.
Yeah, I think that's all really interesting. I really do think like the human being. I think of the flip side of this, which still makes me mad when I think about it. But Lou Whitaker should absolutely be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and he isn't. Yeah. And I think that is a factor for him the other way. Some people, some writers didn't like him, and some writers especially didn't like stuff he said around the 94 strike, and people still apparently hold that against him. Baseball, I mean, that's got to be the pettiest group of, all that's different too, but I feel like everything you said makes sense. And I feel like there is some level of, it's human beings making decisions. And when they really, really like someone, I think it can matter. But I think also the Finland aspect there is definitely, it's got to be key here, right?
Yes.
Just like you said with Josi, when it's up for him, I think that's just a lock. But that's another thing when he, is easily like the best Swiss player. I will tell you that Red Wings fans are upset because it's not Chris Osgood. And, that's a really interesting debate because to me, objectively, there's no question. And I love Chris Osgood, but Pekka Rinne is a better goalie than Chris Osgood and I'm not even comparing the numbers right now side by side. I mean, that's just, to me, no question. But you're talking about Stanley Cups too.
Right.
So how do that's a really interesting comparison there.
Well, I mean, there's every year that the Hall of Fame vote comes out, there's always people that get left out. Like it's still, it's amazing to me that Rod Brindamore is not in the Hall of Fame. Like he probably will be one day, especially, I mean,
Soon.
Yeah. I mean, so there's that. Like, and again, this is a little bit of why I'm as surprised as I was that he got in as quickly as he did. I thought it could be a long wait. Like I did. I thought it could be a long wait. And frankly, again, if you forced me to guess, I never thought he was going to get in. I thought it would be close. I thought he'd be somebody that gets debated about for a while, but I didn't think he would get in. So I'm thrilled for him that he's in. I do think, like, just judging from the reaction yesterday I saw, I think it's pretty controversial that he's in. So, I mean, not just him, too, by the way. Like, there's, Keith Kachuk, which, you know, say what you will about Keith Kachuk, but like if you watched him play, like Keith Kachuk is a Hall of Famer. Like, I mean, the guy was a great player. So I'm frankly surprised he didn't get in before he did. And some of that is like the impact he had on American hockey, right? Like that's why you get into like it's the Hockey Hall of Fame and it's not the NHL Hall of Fame. You have to factor some of these things in, right? And it's not the whole thing. Like I don't want to see people getting in the Hall of Fame that have like so-so NHL careers, but maybe they have a couple of standout tournaments in like the Olympics or the World Championships or something like that. Like I don't really want to get into that business. The NHL part of this still needs to be the thing that matters the most. But when you have an excellent NHL career and it's supplemented by some of these other things that we've talked about, in Pekka's case with Finland, I do think that helps in this discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, that it is an important thing to remember, because it's basketball is the same thing. It's the basketball hall is not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's not the pro, like the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's a separate college one. In these cases, there's probably a little more wiggle room because of that. I'll also say on the Osgood Rinne front, if Rinne were between the pipes for those teams back then,
man,
he'd be hoisting cups.
I
promise you. And that's where it's like when you start making that comparison and making that as an argument, it's I don't know, man. I would choose him in that comparison for sure.
Yeah, I mean look, all due respect to Chris Osgood, who was a very good player. If you start listing off the reasons those Red Wings teams won Stanley Cups, I don't know how quickly it takes to get to Chris Osgood.
Takes a while.
It takes a minute to get to Chris Osgood.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Pekka Rinne in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I will take your public shaming of my statue takes yesterday, which I received a lot of in the immediate aftermath of that as well. It was glorious. More of that coming. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Pekka Rinne in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He is the 2026, or part of the 2026 Hockey Hall of Fame class. Taking your reaction to that. So, Joe, you know, the Shea Weber thing, we talked about it at the time when he got inducted. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was a great player here with the Predators. But, you know, at some point, he did get traded, and he got to a Stanley Cup final with the Montreal Canadiens, right? How big a deal is it in your mind to see a Hall of Famer? And I'm trying to rack my brain. Like, do the Titans have this? I don't think they do. A Hall of Famer that basically, since the team has moved here, and I know it's two different situations. You're talking about, in the Titans case, the team moving here, and in the Predators case, an expansion franchise coming in here. But the team moving here, homegrown, start to finish, finishing your career as a Hall of Famer with the Nashville Predators. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I mean the Titans,
they don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because like Bruce Matthews is the franchise the whole time, but almost his entire career was in Houston. So it is cool, and it's also that's something interesting when you think about all the discussion we've had about Yossi. Because while to me the Preds absolutely should be looking around and should be open to it, and I think they could be a really good thing. Yeah, that is an interesting thing when it comes around. What if he goes to a place and he actually wins a cup at that place? Yeah. You know, I mean, it's like he's still Preds identified if he spends like 2 years somewhere else, but it is an interesting thing. It makes it different. This does make it special to have, the guy who was there the whole time. I mean, I get why people want that, it's just that when it comes down to it in this league, and you have to, you just have to be, to me, willing to push through sentiment sometimes to do the best thing for your franchise. But it is very cool. By the way, Red Wings fans are furious. Here's a tweet. That fat fart, Keith Tkachuk, getting into the Hall of Fame before Zetterberg is embarrassing to the game of hockey. Now, these Red Wings fans, I mean, this is like all they have anymore. It's like their players
Hall of Fame debates.
When they had great teams long ago and getting in the Hall of Fame. So excuse them for their anger and misery.
Yeah, I mean, look, Zetterberg's a great player. I think he's definitely got a chance to get in, but like Keith Tkachuk's pretty good. Like, if you go look at the numbers, Keith Tkachuk's numbers are actually better than Zetterberg's. So that's kind of how that works sometimes,
See, I would not have guessed that.
So. They are. So
there you go.
It's now some of that's longevity, but
yeah.
The Yossi thing's interesting. Like when you say that, I immediately think of Ray Bourque, and it's not exactly the same because Ray Bourque won 5 Norris trophies and I think he was a 19-time All-Star. So you're talking about, how many seasons did Ray Bourque spend in Boston? I mean, it was 20 years? I think it was 20 years in Boston. So, and then he goes to Colorado for 2 years. He wins the Stanley Cup. So he never won in Boston, right? Like he never won the Cup. And then he leaves. He goes somewhere else. He wins the Cup in Colorado. I still think for the most part, he's identified as a Boston Bruin. But the most iconic image of a career for sure is him in a Colorado uniform lifting the cup over his head with Gary Thorne, screaming on the call. So that part of it is interesting.
Yeah, I don't really recognize that moment as actually happening. So I guess
that's right.
I guess it just depends on your perspective. No, that's a great example though. Because maybe people could disagree. I guess Avs fans could disagree, but Ray Bourque to me is Boston. Yeah, like that. So I think that will be, true of Yossi with the Preds, regardless of what happens.
Matthew from Jolton says, Pekka's the only player that I cried when they retired. Looking at the stats, you can make an argument he's a top 30 goalie of all time. So, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, when you're talking about, like, fan base connection, he would be, I think, probably number one in the history of the franchise, right? Like, just the way that the fans kind of rallied around him. I mean, look, the fans love Yossi, and they love Shea Weber. I don't think it's the same as how much they loved Pekka, right? Like to me, Pekka's clearly number one in the history of the team when it comes to like fan favorite.
Yeah, he's the ultimate ambassador.
Yeah.
And these things they're on the fringe, but I think when you have a lot of them that add up in his favor, there has to be some impact there. You know, I mean, look, I say that, I mean, maybe, you know, the people doing this voting, do they think about that in particular? You know, I don't know, but again, that kind of goes into the personality at large and the person he is, and I think those things matter both ways to a point with human voters. Now, when we have AI voters, you know, maybe that won't matter.
I'm gonna choose to believe that part of what got him in as quickly as it did was on this program the use of the untouchable Pekka by you. I think that's when you factor in good nicknames, it's got to be a part of it, right? Like it's
the untouchable
your
Pekka.
lore. Yeah, that's your lore.
Yes, no, I think you're probably right. Is that written anywhere on the statue, by the way?
Don't know.
If not,
go look.
Someone may need to spray paint it on there.
I mean, somebody's asking. A lot of people are asking about the statue. Like, does this make it justified? Like I said, it's more palatable now. I mean, look, Joe, if you're walking around the plaza like 10 years from now, and it was like, oh, so like somebody's coming in town, they're like, oh, tell me about this Pekka Rinne guy. It's like, well, he's a really good goalie for the Nashville Predators. Oh, cool. So what did he win? Well, they never won the Stanley Cup, or he's not in the Hall of Fame. Then I think you'd have people looking at you sideways like, well, what in the world has he got a statue for out here? At least he's the Hall of Fame part of it now.
That's right. That's right. You can now say Hockey Hall of Famer. Oh, enough said. There you go. Now I would say before the next statue, because obviously this works out, Preds didn't know he was going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Maybe confirm first.
Maybe wait.
Yeah, maybe confirm. Or follow Robby's plan and never build another statue.
Well, or when McDavid comes and you win 4 cups with McDavid, then you can construct a Connor McDavid statue on Broadway, which is still a part of my master plan for the Predators in the next 2 years.
There you go. I think that's a great plan. They absolutely need to be. Yeah. What if McDavid comes here, wins a cup, you know, but like maybe he doesn't play as long as people think. He still has a lot more years in Edmonton than here.
Put it in there. That's what you do.
Okay.
Build that statue.
Build it. That's for him, it's like really McDavid he's good enough that he could warrant a statue like just about anywhere that they like hockey, right?
If McDavid skates one stride for your franchise, you might need to think about building a statue.
Statues all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, you say if he didn't play here long, good Lord, if he played here 2 years, he might put up 300 points, you know?
That is true. He has the production of a typical forward over a 10-year period in 2 years.
I'm telling you, it's part of my master plan. Predators need to get prepared for this. Get McDavid in there. I could have a whole row of statues out there if they get McDavid. There's all these people that could be winning cups.
Yeah, put the whole team that wins the cup with him in statues.
Win one for the Pekka? Yes. Now we got people on the text line throwing out like other statues. I mean, again, like, let me be clear. My requirements of the statue in my mind haven't changed. Like, I don't think you should just put a statue for every Hall of Famer out there. Like, are they going to put one for Shea? You can put one for Yossi when he gets in. Like, you're just going to have this whole row of statues out there. I'd still be very selective about the statues that I do. But, I mean, it is, again, objectively hilarious. We had this discussion yesterday, and then about 5 hours later, it's like, so the Hall of Fame, Pekka Rinne, way to go.
Other players would like you to talk some trash about them too, and their honors, so that
this has happened a couple of times on the show before. I think I was just absolutely destroying like Austin Hooper one day on the show, and then he went out and had like 6 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown or something. I was like, oh, cool, Austin Hooper.
He also, I think, said something like, if Malik Willis wins a game, and like the entire franchise should like shut down or something like that. And then, and now look at him now.
I think that's the one instance on this show where I've lied before. I think I said if Malik Willis wins when I go up to Lambeau, I'll never criticize Matt LaFleur ever again, and that just didn't last. I wasn't strong enough.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that. Boy, we have definitely not held you to that one. Alex, real quick, says there was a woman who had seats near me for a couple of years who hated Pekka, so he has at least one hater. That's
how's that possible?
I don't know. That is interesting. I guess, everybody's allowed to have their own opinion, but yeah, I've not heard of that.
I haven't either. That's a new one.
Saros' aunt?
615-737-1025 is our phone number. A couple of huge moves yesterday in the NBA. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
This was a 13-month trade saga for Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. Just to put it plainly, Giannis felt like his time was up with the Bucks a calendar year ago. The Bucks at every turn did everything they could to try to keep him. They fought this right until the end with Giannis to try to win around him. They depleted their assets their salary books as well. But Giannis informed the team numerous times that it was time for both sides to move on, that he would not sign a long-term contract extension. So now for the Bucks, several weeks ago, they opened up for business. They started negotiating with several teams, and they really started to focus in on the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics over the last few weeks. Co-owner Jimmy Haslam came out a period of time ago and made it very clear that by the draft, so they are now moving him.
Huge move in the NBA late last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo on the way from Milwaukee to Miami in exchange, Joe, for, I believe, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 players, 3 first-round picks, and a pick swap. So there's a pick swap, 3 first-round picks, 4 players. Bobby Portis also heading to the Miami Heat with Giannis from Milwaukee. But a huge trade in the NBA. We've been talking about Giannis for a while of what that was going to look like, where he would eventually end up. It looked like, as Shams just broke down there from ESPN, the relationship between he and the Bucks had broken down over time. And now, Joe, he has ended up on my beloved Miami Heat. It's an exciting day.
Well, it is. I mean, so I would imagine your interest in watching the Heat next year has just skyrocketed.
Yes.
It's going to be fascinating. I'm just as a general Boston Celtics hater, I'm glad that it wasn't the Celtics who got him.
Same.
I'm very curious to see what this means, for the Heat in terms of where they are in the East now. I'm not sure. He's an incredible player, 31. He's not ancient. He's got good years left. It's you got to have the right supporting cast, but
well, right now they don't have it.
Yeah,
there's got to be some more moves that come here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be, but I look, man,
Knicks Heat,
like
here we go. Rematch.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. Let's hope we don't have 78 to 73 games in the second time around. I think it'll be more fun to watch.
Where's Jeff Van Gundy?
Yeah. Allen Houston. But it's you knew it was going to be somewhere, and good for Miami. And Spoelstra paired with a superstar sounds pretty good.
Well, that's kind of the most exciting part of it. I mean, first off, Bam Adebayo, a really good player. I don't think Bam Adebayo needs to be your best player, because you're not going to win a championship when Bam Adebayo is your best player. If he's your second or third best player, then maybe, you might be able to at that point. And Spoelstra got obviously LeBron and Wade and Bosh and all them to the final, and you get basically no credit for that because it's LeBron and Wade and Bosh and all that. So I understand that. But then when you turn around a few years later and you get, basically Jimmy Butler and a bunch of dudes to the final, and then you do it again and get him to the final against the Nuggets, Spoelstra is, and he's one of the best coaches in sports. He really is. It's not too much to say. He's one of the best coaches in sports. So I'm very interested to see, now that he has an actual superstar with him again for the first time in a while, what this looks like. There's got to be some more building out of the roster here. If you ask me today, are the Heat a threat to win a championship in the East? No, they are not. There's got to be a couple other moves to get made here.
Yeah. But I mean, immediately they are relevant and as interesting a team as there is. So that's exciting. It's gonna be really interesting to see how it all works out. And I'm with you. I mean, Spoelstra's great, man. I mean, he's got to be excited to have a guy like this that is just such a unique player. And I just feel like, I know the Bucks won a title in this 8-year run of participation trophies.
Yes.
But I just feel like Jan, and I know some of it is injuries and stuff like that. He's too good a player. He's just sort of been forgotten a little bit, other than when we talk about trade stuff, So it'll be good to have him back as a focal point in the league here next year. Even though we have other young stars rising in the league and stuff like that. I mean, Giannis he's a special player.
I mean, Somebody this and Shams point this out in like this ESPN piece that he does here. Think about who the Miami Heat have acquired. Like, forget even just drafting, right? Because you've drafted Wade and all those things, but like over the last 30 years, you've gotten LeBron James, Shaq, Bosh, Mourning, Butler. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. And now add Giannis to it.
Wait, was Mourning not drafted by the Heat?
He says that as if it was an acquisition. Did he
thought it was
get
Charlotte.
drafted? I think he may have been drafted by.
Was he Charlotte first?
He was definitely Charlotte.
He was
at
drafted
one
by
point.
Charlotte. Yep.
Okay.
I remember him in those jerseys. Him and Muggsy.
Okay.
What a
That's
combo.
right. I mean, that Mourning, little gif on the bench is like, with Miami, might be one of the greatest and most used of all time. Right?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Where he's like, okay, yeah.
Works out. Yeah. Joe, another huge.
That is crazy. Like, and they've won. They won championship with Shaq and with LeBron too. So the history says when they get the superstar, they actually put the superstar to good use.
Yep, for sure. Another big move yesterday in the NBA, Joe. Dusty May leaving Michigan as coach to become the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. Now, obviously, Dusty May just came off an incredible year at Michigan. They won the national championship. They were just an absolute wagon in college basketball all year. And he decides now to pack it up and leave and head to the Dallas Mavericks. What do you make of that move from Dusty May?
Stunner, man. Absolute stunner. And like you could tell, look, there was no question that it was going to be short time for Dusty May and that the NBA was calling. And I think he made that clear. I know Matt Norlander from CBS did a big story with him after the championship, and it was like basically like, well, this sucks. I haven't enjoyed this at all. He's just like in the portal and all this stuff. And our guy at the Athletic, CJ Moore, I mean, he like walked from the stadium to the hotel with him every night in Indy, and it's the same sort of idea. Like this is not going to be long term, but to me, you have they got a top 5 team on paper next year, even with the guys who are going to get drafted tonight. They got 3 guys who are going to get drafted tonight. They still have a top 5 or right around their team with everything that they've done, including adding JP Estrella from Tennessee, but a lot of good ads. You have a chance to repeat. You're talking about, I mean, there's 17 coaches in the history of college basketball have 2 titles. 8 have repeat titles. And the opportunity to do that when you have everything all set, to me, it's like, go through, take another run at it. And then I wouldn't have been surprised at all if he was top of the list for NBA jobs in a year from now. But for him to do this now here in here in late June and just bail is a stunner. I mean, 2 years at Michigan, and a championship. I mean, his rise as a coach is tremendous. But no, I was shocked that he made this move, and yeah, absolutely, this is a commentary on the job. I mean, it's a good opportunity. I mean, I think Cooper Flagg is going to be really good. I don't know if I feel great about the long term when Wemby is next door.
Yep.
But Cooper Flagg's gonna be really good, and they've got, I think they got 2 first rounders tonight, so it's a pretty good opportunity. A lot of times college coaches get the crappy teams, that don't have much going on. So I get it, but also it's a commentary on college athletics. I mean, anybody who wants to argue otherwise is shoving their head in the sand.
Well, and we will get into that coming up next. Rexrode will attack the media. We will take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers at First Horizon Park. First pitch at 6:35. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan. Presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, Mad Fireworks, and Social Cantina. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Dusty May leaving Michigan, heading to the NBA to become the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. And Joe, before we get to this clip, let's just provide a little context here for our listeners. There's every time something like this happens in today's day and age of college athletics, where you see either a coach dipping out and leaving to go to a professional league, or a coach calling it quits and saying, you know what, I'm hanging it up, I'm done, I'm retiring. The conversation as to whether or not the college sports landscape is to blame comes up. And boy, did that conversation reignite yesterday with Dusty May out there leaving and going to the Dallas Mavericks. Who would you like to take a shot at today?
Well, look, I think one of the primary, and he's not alone, but one of the primary, kind of finger pointers at people who ever want to bring this up is Seth Davis. And I love Seth. Used to work with him. He's a great guy. And also, he has some bad takes like, hey, expansion sounds amazing. But Seth tweeted this yesterday. He got his way, by the way, but on the expansion. But anyway, Seth said this yesterday. He said, quote, beware of takes that declared Dusty May's decision as an indictment of the state of college sports. May was crushing it in college and genuinely enjoying himself, had Michigan set up for long-term success. The only thing this move proves that Dusty May wanted to coach the Dallas Mavericks. Doesn't have to be any more complicated than that, end quote. Problem is, he actually clearly has said that that's wrong. So, like I said, CJ Moore, and he wrote a column about that. That's up, and of course we also have Matt Norlander from CBS who knows Dusty well, but Dusty May very well.
Oh, this is what Matt Norlander from CBS had to say yesterday on Dusty May leaving Michigan and joining the Dallas Mavericks.
Obviously a shocker, but I can provide some context here. Having sat down with Dusty May more than a week removed from winning the national championship back in the spring there, he's taken the NBA job, so now I can reveal this because he's gone. I did ask Dusty if he would leave for the NBA, if he could see himself leaving college basketball at some point in the upcoming years, and he did say yes at that point. Did we think we were going to get to the point where he was taking an NBA job in 2026? No. But I did think that if he was going to be able to keep Michigan consistently relevant, a top 10 team, I thought we'd be here in this spot next year because I think Michigan under Dusty May would have been one of the best teams in the country, obviously. So I'm not surprised to see this. It's not these are champagne problems. Let me be clear about this. It's just not easy being a head coach of a power conference program, football or men's basketball, women's basketball, and college sports these days. There's just so much that comes with it. Now, some coaches are better equipped and wired to handle it than others. Dusty May is equipped and wired to handle it, but you're trading one set of problems for another by taking a crack and taking a swing at going to the NBA. So I'm not surprised whatsoever. Spoke to a source close to Dusty May just a short while ago, and it is the college environment that is pushing him to this decision. It's not an easy one. It's an extremely difficult one. He met with Dallas on Saturday when they made their final pitch and essentially offered him the job. He took all day Sunday to make that decision, decided late last night that, yes, indeed, it would be the case that he is going to take the Dallas job. He has not signed a contract at this point, I am told, but those things will get ironed out in the coming days. But ultimately, the state of college sports and where things are with a lack of guardrails and a lack of really true firm infrastructure is a major catalyst, in addition to the obvious, if you've got the chance to coach an NBA franchise and the Dallas Mavericks, Cooper Flagg could prove to be one of the 5 best players in the NBA by the end of his rookie contract, potentially, then why wouldn't you get that, take a swing at that way if offered the opportunity? So that's I know there's a lot there, but that's an overview of where we are here in the immediacy of the Dusty May news break.
So that was Matt Norlander from CBS. And it's interesting to hear him talk about that, the college environment pushing Dusty May to this decision. And you're talking about somebody that's coming off a national championship, right? So
right. He's mastered it.
Right. Yeah. It's somebody who clearly, not only is it something that he can handle, he just used it to his advantage, right? It just happened. So that's the most intriguing part of this is, Norlander's saying that Dusty May doesn't like the college environment. That's helped pushing him to this decision. And he's a guy that just won the national championship with it.
Yeah, exactly. So that it tells you a lot. Look, I know there's some people of course, like Michigan State fans are still convinced that this is going to be like Harbaugh. I mean, Michigan, they've won national championships in football, basketball the last few years, and the coach immediately leaves. Now Harbaugh left because he's about to get banned from ever coaching football again. Very different situation for him. Some Michigan State fans want to believe that that the tampering stuff is going to come to light with Dusty May, and I don't think that's the case. We'll see. There's some investigation internally, but this is the very different situations, and it is. You look at college sports. He mastered it last year. He did. I mean, look what he did. First of all, year one, he went out and got like Dustin Wolf and some really good players, and had a good team, a Sweet 16 team. And then wins it all. Incredible work in the portal. Axel Lendeborg was obviously the big score, but Adai Mara was a huge pickup. Morez Johnson from Illinois. Those guys are all getting drafted tonight. You can't really do the portal better than that, The thing is, and they did well this year too. Like I said, they have like a top 5 or so team, and yet they missed out on a couple guys they really wanted. And even with everything going on, they've got funding. They just won it all. You would think that people would want to play for Dusty May. Still, they lost out on a couple targets, including one who went to Tennessee during this process. And so, and again, just having to deal with it and doing everything that you can. And then, an agent just comes in and says, no. I mean, look, there are cases to be made for, like Rick Barnes, for example. I mean, he seems to be fine. I mean, Tom Izzo and Rick Barnes are doing it a little differently, but those guys are in their 70s and they're hanging in there, Yep. And Rick is out there like, hey, well, let's sign a bunch of dudes who can score, and I'll teach them to play some D, And there is a difference in you don't get like emotionally attached to recruits now, and then when you lose them, like it's quick. It's year by year. For the most part, I don't think that's good. But some coaches can deal with it. We've obviously seen a lot of coaches get out of college sports here. Some retiring. This, to me, though, is a little different. You're talking about a guy in his 40s, just won it all, has everything going, and is out. And I don't see how anybody could look at that and not say that that's a red flag.
Well, and I also, and this is just me, people may disagree with this, and that's fine. I think the college basketball part of it is even more exhausting from a coaching standpoint than football. Not because you're dealing with more people, because you're not. Because, I mean, there's a ton of people you're dealing with on a football team. But I just think when you're talking about as finite of a roster as you've got in college basketball, I mean, the percentage of your roster that's changing over all the time, every year, it's exhausting to do with. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, yes, there's a lot of player movement in college football, but a lot of these rosters, like if you go look at Tennessee is a perfect example. Yeah, they lost some guys. They've brought in some guys, but they're still like, I don't know what the percentage is. My guess is like 85% of their roster, other than the people that are graduated, are like, are returning players from last year, right? So it's not that different. You know what I mean? College basketball, it can be that different.
Absolutely. No, it's a huge, it's a huge thing. Yeah. And some look, Izzo, unfortunately, I was looking forward to those guys 2-2 against each other. Izzo and May, a brief, nasty little rivalry there, but he's been able to retain guys. I mean, the last couple of years, he's basically brought his whole team back and added a little bit. But even that, year by year, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to keep doing that. So you wonder about some of these other guys. John Shire almost was the first choice of the Mavs, turned him down. But there's a lot of good young coaches. College coaches have not done well in the NBA. But maybe that's a bit like if Dusty May does well, we may start to see more of that. And I could see a lot of these young coaches who normally would sign up to be college basketball legends at places where you're going to have recruiting advantages forever and all that stuff. Just saying, you know what, I'm just going to go to a place where at least there's contracts. I know this guy's signed for the next 3 years. I know that. I don't have to completely, as you said, have a new roster every year. It has to be exhausting. I don't want to hear coaches whine about it because you're getting paid really well on that stuff. But when they leave, that's a statement.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. The NHL draft is coming up later this week. We'll get into some options for the Predators, the history of the spot in which they're selecting in the first round. Adam Kimelman will be with us at 7:15. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It is NHL Draft Week. Adam Kimelman from NHL.com. Their draft expert at NHL.com will be with us coming up at 7:15. We will get into the Predators and their draft position with him. Joe, Preds are picking 10th in this NHL draft. The occupant of the pick before them at pick number 9 just changed over the weekend with the previous owner, Florida, trading for Brady Tkachuk, and now the Ottawa Senators own the pick before Nashville at pick number 9. Joe, some quick history of notable 10th overall picks in the National Hockey League. You'll be pleased to know Mikko Rantanen selected 10th overall back in 2015 by the Colorado Avalanche. He turned out to be a pretty darn good player.
Yeah.
Teemu Selanne drafted 10th overall by the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously, made the majority of his career with the Anaheim Ducks. But, had some couple of good names in there. I mean, Evan Bouchard, I believe, was drafted 10th overall by the Oilers. And, the most recent example, we'll see what this guy turns into. But Roger McQueen, we talked a lot about Roger McQueen last year with the Predators, where he got drafted 10th overall by the Ducks last year. So, I mean, look, this is not as exciting as having some top 3 pick or picking 5th like the Predators did last year. But you are still talking about a top 10 draft pick here. And frankly, I don't know where the Predators are going to go with this. You can make the case that you can continue to stockpile as many centers as you can possibly stockpile and see how many of them turn out to be good. I would still argue that, depending on the defenseman that could be there, they definitely need some more defensemen in the system. We've already had people on the YouTube chat talk about maybe Wyatt Cullen getting drafted by the Predators at number 10th, which makes me feel extremely old because that is Matt Cullen's child, which is amazing to think about that he's getting drafted right now, because I remember him walking around the bowels of Bridgestone Arena. A lot of things on the table for the Predators at pick number 10 coming up, Joe Rexrode.
Yeah. So if this mock draft by Corey Pronman is accurate, he would be there for the Preds. That is Wyatt Cullen. But his prediction is Malte, I think, is that how you say it? Malte?
I believe so.
Malte Gustafsson, defenseman. So, that's certainly a way they could go too. They've got to get better there. They've got to address that. Cullen is a winger. So, I'm trying to look at like possibilities in terms of down the middle for them. It looks like there's a couple of guys who probably won't be available to them. Perhaps they could look at someone like Tynan Lawrence.
Yep.
Is in there. Alexander Command. It's a hell of a name. Just Alex Command. I like that down the middle. So, but yeah, you're still, like you said, you're still giving, you have a good chance to get a really good and a really important player. And of course, your GM was part of the drafting of one of those guys you just mentioned.
Yep,
by the way,
for sure. And look, there's not a position that they could take where I'd be upset with it. Like, I mean, last year, for example, when you're picking 5th overall, everybody knew Matthew Schaefer was going to be gone with the first pick. So after that, like, it needed to be a center for the Predators last year. Like, it was basically going to be, which one of these centers are they going to take, or do they go Porter Martone, right? Like, it was going to be you need to take a center, or it needs to be Porter Martone on the wing. I mean, that was kind of your options there. Like, there's not really a position they could take this year other than probably goalie with 10th overall, where I'd be like, what are you guys doing, right? And they're not going to take a goalie 10th overall. So, whether it's Wyatt Cullen, who's a winger, you mentioned Lawrence, who's down the middle as a center. I look at defense right now, and I know everybody's excited about Tanner Molendyk, and I like Tanner Molendyk. We'll see what he looks like. I like the Andrew Gibson kid. I don't know exactly, the type of NHL player that he projects to be. They drafted Cam Reed last year. I like him. I think Cam Reed may end up being pretty good. But I still think they probably need a couple of defenseman prospects, Joe, that you feel like are high-level players. When you really look at it and go back to the history of their organization right now, yes, I mean, they went on a run for a while where they were just a defenseman factory. I mean, whether you're talking Suter or Weber or Yossi or Seth Jones or Ryan Ellis, Matthias Ekholm, I mean, it was just a factory for a while of them drafting and developing really good defensemen. If you look at it right now, they haven't really done that in a while. Like, it's been a while since they've drafted and developed really good defensemen that have had some staying power. I mean, they took Fabro in the first round in 2016, and he's okay here in Nashville, and he's gone on to Columbus and has been, decent for the Blue Jackets, but like he's not what they thought he would be here in Nashville. So It's been a while since they have drafted, developed a defenseman that, is one of you look at as a potential top pairing guy. And we'll see if Molendijk turns into that. We'll see if Cam Reed turns into that. But I guess what I'm saying is it's not a bad thing if at number 10 overall, they add to the defenseman pipeline, which I still think needs some work here with the Predators.
No, people should. Yeah, you got to look up and say, hey, like they really need to deal with that. And if you can get a really good one, that's great. It's interesting as I look at this mock draft for Pronman. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 6 spots to round out the top 10 as defensemen.
Yeah.
So Carson Carrolls, Chase Reed, Keaton Verhoff, Albert Schmidt, Staxon Rudolph, and then again he has them with Gustafsson after all those guys already go. I mean, that's a lot of defensemen expected by him at least to go, in the top 10 of the draft. So it appears to be a defenseman-rich draft. And it's going to be really interesting to compare these guys against each other. Another thing he mentions is the Preds have been linked a lot with Ethan Belchets. That's a winger who would be available in his draft. And then also this guy, I mean, the name, Vigo Bjork.
Yeah.
That just sounds awesome. Now, this is a centerman who's 5'9", 177.
Yeah.
Vigo Bjork.
Very skilled.
But it could be an exciting player. Also, he has him gone long before the Preds pick. So
I'm looking at Kimelman, who we'll have on here in just a few minutes, and I think he had at the time in his most recent mock draft had Vigo Bjork going 9 to Florida.
Okay, that's close.
So I mean, it's close. I mean, if he's there, I would be interested. Like the lack of size is concerning. It's not as concerning as it frankly just used to be in the NHL. Like it's a different type of game. Now, look, if you're asking me to pick, I'd rather have a guy that's 6'3" and can still move out there and take my chances with that. But if Vigo Bjork is there at number 10, I think that could be really interesting for the Predators. So it's going to be a fascinating NHL draft. Yes, it's not the same as having, a top 5 pick, but you still could be walking away a pretty good player here if you're the Nashville Predators. Adam Kimelman from NHL.com will join us coming up next to help us break it all down. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. It is NHL Draft Week. Predators are picking at number 10 coming up later this weekend. And to help us talk more about that, we head to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and welcome in our friend Adam Kimelman to the program from NHL.com. Adam, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, guys. I'm getting ready. It's draft week. It's fun time, exciting time here.
It's an exciting time. Predators fans are fired up about that. They're fired up about Pekka Rinne getting into the Hall of Fame. So it's a big week for Predators fans here. Looking forward to this. Let's just start here, Adam. So obviously last year, Predators picked at number 5. They took Brady Martin. We spent a lot of time talking about, the top 5, maybe top 8 or 9 guys in that draft. When you look at this year's top 10, what do you think of it? Guys that potentially could be there. How do you feel about maybe, the top, 10 to 12 to 13 prospects in this draft?
I think so. Let's start at the top. Is there a Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, plug and play NHL superstar in this group? No, I don't believe so. However, I think what you have are some really high-end forwards, a couple of centers who project to be top 6 guys, 5 defensemen who I think project to be top pair players. So whatever the Predators whatever any team ends up doing, certainly in the top 10, it looks like you have the chance of getting a player who's going to be a legitimate foundational piece for when you turn that corner and go from rebuilding to championship caliber or certainly playoff contention. A lot of really, really good high-end players.
Do you have it tiered by chance, Adam, in terms of, maybe there's a really small top tier? I mean, obviously everybody thinks McKenna's going first, but and then, like are the Preds at 10? Are they going to get a player in like what you would consider like the second tier? I don't know if you look at it that way.
So yeah, kind of I don't know if I look at it exactly that way. I think there's 2 high-end left wings right at the top of the draft. Everybody talks about Gavin McKenna and Ivar Stenberg. Then I think there's 5 defensemen that I talked about that all could be top pair guys. They all bring a little something different to the table. Chase Reed, Albert Smith's the big Latvian kid, Daxon Rudolph and Carson Carrolls who are playing in the Western Hockey League, Keaton Verhoff from North Dakota. And I think there's 3 centers really that kind of stand out from the group. Tynan Lawrence, who played most of the year at Boston University, Viggo Bjork, the Swedish kid, and Tynan and oh my goodness, Caleb Malhotra, who played in Brantford, the son of new Canucks coach Manny Malhotra. So to me, those are the probably 9 or 10 guys that have separated themselves from the rest of the group. And then there's another tier after that of, you could take the guy you get at 10, another team could see him at 25 and vice versa. So the line of separation between that next group, to me, is incredibly thin.
So, Adam, I want to ask you about Wyatt Cullen, who a couple of people have brought up on our show today. I mean, first off, it makes me feel old because I remember him walking around as a kid at Bridgestone Arena when Matt was playing for the Predators. His dad obviously played 1,500 games in the NHL. He won 3 Stanley Cups. And you're talking about, in Wyatt's case, a kid that went from like 5'8" and like maybe $150 to 6'1" and like 175. So a huge growth spurt. And now you're looking at a potential top 10 pick. Could be there. We'll see if he's there when the Predators are picking at number 10 or not, or if he goes before that. What do you make of Wyatt Cullen as a potential target for the Preds?
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned him because, a little spoiler for you and your fans, we have our final mock draft coming out at Wednesday. And at number 10, I do have the Predators selecting Wyatt Cullen. So
Nice.
Kind of the things you talked about, the growth spurt there. He's still on the young side. He's only 17 years old. Who knows? That meter could tick up another inch. Certainly going to get stronger as he goes to the University of Minnesota in the fall, gets involved with that quality strength training program where he's just going to physically develop and get even bigger, even stronger. And look, 45 points in 40 games this season, had a solid run at the under 18s for the United States. There's a lot there to like. You add in the hockey bloodlines, that come from his dad. You talked about that, a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, skating, a dynamic offensive skill set. There's a lot to like there with Wyatt Cullen. And I think when you look at what the Predators have done They've invested pretty heavily in the center position the last few years. You've seen what Fedor Svechkov is doing now. You know, you've got Brady Martin, who I'm not sure if he's a center or a wing at the next level, but he's going to be a top-line player. You know, Igor Sarin is close. Teddy Stieg is a prospect they have some real hope for. So it feels like they're kind of solid in the middle, that if they wanted to look for a high-end winger who can produce, Wyatt Cullen is a guy who I think for sure is going to be there. I don't envision a team reaching even earlier for him. Even 10 might be a little bit of a reach maybe, but I think there's a lot of talent there. Just, you know, with a lot of these guys, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of development, a lot of patience to get them to their top level. But I think if you can be able to get a guy like Wyatt Cullen, I think it goes very well for what you're going to build here in the future.
You mentioned a bunch of defensemen, Adam, and you know, probably expect a run on that pretty early in this draft. Reed, Carrolls, Verhoff, Smits, Rudolph. I'm wondering, Malte Gustafsson, how he fits into that group and compares to those guys.
Malte Gustafsson, he's just a little bit different. I don't think the offense is going to be there certainly the same way like a Chase Reed or a Carson Carrolls. But when you look at the size, 6'4" and 203 pounds, and the way he's able to get up and down the ice at that size, defensive presence, long stick, great reach, you know, reads the game well. You know, he looks like one of those, you know, if you have your go offensive guy, you need somebody capable of hanging back, taking care of things when play turns the other way, sort of like maybe you think of like an Essa Lindell or a Jacob Slavin in that regard, a guy who has some offensive skill, but it's not what's going to be what gets him to the dance. It's going to be smartly using the size, the reach, the long stick, and the head for the game. And I think that's what Malte Gustafsson does for you. You know, scouts were very impressed at how he played at the World Under-18s in Slovakia. So there's a lot to like there. Like I said, a little bit different from some of the other defensemen in this class, but definitely a guy that you want in your organization if you have the opportunity to get him.
So, Adam, Viggo Bjork, very intriguing to me from the standpoint of he's not very big, like he's not the biggest kid. And again, that's always interesting when you're talking about like 18-year-olds trying to predict how much bigger and stronger they're going to get. But he's got a ton of skill. It was fun to watch him in the World Juniors. He played, I think, on a line with Lucas Raymond at the World Championships this past summer. So, like, what do you make of Viggo Bjork and the skill level that he brings to the table? And I'm seeing kind of different thoughts on where he could land.
I'm a big fan of Viggo Bjork, one of my favorite players to watch this year for a lot of the reasons you mentioned. There is a relentlessness to his game, dog on a bone mentality that does not have an off switch. And when you are that size, 5'9" and 180 or 185 pounds, you need to have some standout quality. And for Bjork, it's the nonstop motor, high-end competitiveness that's going to make him a special player. And to me, you can make the argument that he's the best center in this year's draft. Some scouts maybe even have him ahead of Malhotra and ahead of Lawrence just because of that skill that he has combined with the competitiveness, the nonstop motor. I have him actually going at number 9. So I have him as the number 2 center going off the board. But I could see him going even higher than that if you really like what he brings to the table. And look, you go back to the World Championship, he was the center on Sweden's top line with Ivar Stenberg and Lucas Raymond, was voted one of their 3 best players in the tournament. And that's as an 18-year-old playing with and against NHL competition. So that's where he is now. Wait till he matures and get a little bit better. I think you're getting a guy who is for sure a top 6 center in the NHL.
So as you mentioned, you know, the Preds have addressed, they've had shortcomings down the middle for a long time. They've tried to address it. If he were to, and they have other needs, but if he were to fall to 10, is that a must take for them? Is that a you gotta take another centerman if it's him?
If it's Viggo Bjork sitting there, absolutely. Like that's a guy that you if he's available, you take him in that spot. Because I watched him World Juniors, World Championship. You can take Brady Martin and put him on the wing. I watched Brady Martin play on the wing at World Juniors on a line with Michael Hage and Gavin McKenna. He did not look out of place. He still did a lot of the things that make Brady Martin special, just being that nuisance in front of the net, that crease crashing presence on the forecheck, on the cycle. So, if you get a guy like Bjork, you could absolutely move one of those other centers to the wing. It's a heck of a lot easier to go from the inside out than it is to go from the outside in. So anybody who can play center can play the wing.
Adam, last thing for you here, and it's related to the draft coming up this week. We've talked about this on the show. I mean, the cap in the NHL is going way up. It's not an overly great, at least in my opinion, year free agent wise. And we've already started to see some trades trickle in with Brady Tkachuk going down to Florida. How wild do you think this weekend could be on the trade front, given all that information, the cap going up, and trades we've already seen start to trickle in with the NHL?
Well, I feel like I need to couch all my answers to your questions with, at the moment, it's this, because like you said, anything is possible between now and when we get to the draft floor, and even on the draft floor come Friday night and then into Saturday. The Brady Tkachuk move could just be the tip of the iceberg. There's news about a lot of other players that have, shown interest in playing for other teams. So there's a lot that's going to happen. There's a lot that could happen. I mentioned the Ottawa Senators at number 9. I'm not 100% sold on them being the team that makes that pick at number 9. Their GM, Steve Staios, was in the media yesterday saying, we need to turn these picks into actual real live NHL players that can help us now. They've been to the playoffs 2 straight years. They don't want to slide back. They went through that period where they were building, and it got them, to this point. They want to push it even further, even without Brady Tkachuk. So there's a lot more news to come. We have 2 more days before we all get to Buffalo. And, there's a lot that can change between then and now.
Well, Adam, I know it's a very busy week. You're so kind with your time, as always. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning, and have fun at the draft this weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Always. Thanks, Robby.
Absolutely. Adam Kimelman from NHL.com, our guest here on the program. We'll take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Plus, Joe Rexrode plays Fashion Police, and I got to say, I'm impressed. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Our football offseason coverage brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works. Finely tuned craft beer for finely tuned fans. Tennessee Brew Works, official craft beer of offseason coverage here on 102.5 The Game. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here in just a few minutes at 7:45. Appreciate Adam Kimelman for being with us in the last segment. Joe, you have played fashion police at the Athletic along with several other writers around the National Football League. I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed this exercise at the Athletic, which is basically saying, every NFL team's best and worst uniform in franchise history. There were some in here that I vehemently disagreed with. There are also, I was impressed mostly. Like I went through all of these yesterday and mostly I'm like, yep, I think most of these people got it exactly right. And I would add you to the list. I think you nailed it on your uniform designation with the Tennessee Titans. So Joe, what did you determine as the best and worst uniforms in Titans history?
Yeah, well, we've talked about it. So I guess really like I took into account this should really be a group thing, but the obvious best is, well, it's pretty close to what they're about to start wearing again, but it's the Oilers uniforms. I think the Oilers uniforms to me, there's the white on white's great, but the blue Oilers jersey, baby blue, Columbia blue, I guess, with the white pants. I mean, that's one of the best uniforms. And to me, NFL/pro sports history. We have a nice picture of Chris Chandler in those unis in 1995. I mean, those are just beautiful. And the worst is, to me, it's the Navy of the 2018 redesign. The Navy jerseys I thought looked the worst, and regardless of pants, I mean in this picture we got a nice Blaine Gabbert shot here. He's wearing the Columbia blue pants. I actually that's probably my best combination if you're going to have to wear the Navy jerseys. I hate that
combo.
Do you? Yeah,
I can't stand it.
But regardless, the jersey to me is the worst. Now again, people may disagree. There's some other iterations of the jersey over the years that you may like less. I just thought it just didn't look, I don't know. It doesn't look classic. Doesn't look like an NFL jersey. So that was mine. I think everybody would agree on the best. The worst, you could have a little bit of debate. I'm with you on the whole exercise. Like there are some, I mean, I love my guy Colton Pouncey who covers the Lions, but like he picked like they're all Honolulu blue uniforms where the pants are blue. I'm like, no, dude, no. Well,
even like Schneidman with the Packers, it was like he brought in, rather than just like their actual home jersey, which is pretty good, right? Like it's very classic home jersey. It's like a throwback. Yeah, I mean it's a home jersey, but it's a throwback kind of version of it. And it's like, nah, yeah, just go ahead with the normal jerseys. Like some of these are pretty simple, and I would agree. Like Kansas City, your best jersey is the home one you've worn forever, right? Like the one that you've had for a long time. Like, some of these are pretty self-explanatory here. There are some bad jerseys. Like when you go through this exercise, there have been some absolutely horrific jerseys in the National Football League. Like those Tampa jerseys that they wore when Jameis was the quarterback that I think are referred to in this exercise as like the alarm clock jerseys. They're absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I mean, most of the best is like classic. Yeah. Right. I mean, most of the best is classic, like for sure New England, like the red throwbacks. I mean, just wear those as opposed to these terrible, I guess I didn't realize this. It was according to Chad Graff when the Patriots switched, first of all, I didn't realize that was called the Flying Elvis logo, but
sure.
1990, it was former owner James Orthwein, if I'm saying his name correctly, switched them to those stupid uniforms. Like, why would the Patriots ever change from the awesome uniforms they had, for example?
Same with the Broncos. I don't know why you'd ever change it.
Exactly. Yeah. And here I agree also with this on the Eagles, the Kelly green with the silver pants. I mean, that's absolutely the best. I mean, some of these teams have amazingly, I probably should have just like gone back to the color rush for the Titans, but like Look at you see this Eagles one for the worst?
Oh, yeah.
Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. Like what?
I've never even seen them wear that, I don't think.
I haven't either. But like the Raiders, home unis. I mean, you don't mess with it. And they haven't, and they shouldn't. The Steelers, home unis. You don't mess with it. And they, some of these throwbacks they wear, they're the bumblebees. It's funny every once in a while, but yeah, almost all the correct answers is either and again, it's the Seahawks, another team. Why did you change? Why did you ever change?
So how have we gotten
those
worse?
Are beautiful. Yeah.
How have we gotten worse at making uniforms? Like, is it like, are people too involved with it? Like they're trying to overcomplicate what should be a relatively simple process? Because I do feel like for the most part, I mean, look, uniforms are a very subjective thing in sports and people have strong opinions about them one way or the other. But I do feel like for the most part, like everybody recognizes like, oh, yeah, those 1980s Patriots jerseys are really good. Or, like the look that the Broncos had up until like the mid-90s were really good. You probably shouldn't mess with that. I don't know how we're getting worse at this.
Right. And I don't know why. I mean, a lot of the best here are teams that have not messed with it, basically, have just continued to go with what you had as your classic uni. And there's probably some of it is just familiarity, becomes – like familiarity maybe makes something seem better than it is. But yeah, like the Broncos, man, from 67 to 96, those orange crush. Who the hell decided to change that? It's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a uniform, redo that was actually an improvement. Certainly not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers look good now with their
that's actually
powder blue, but
that's
it's actually
really
kind of a throwback.
Yeah, that's actually what they wore. I will say the Chargers, because let's see, what did they have for their best? The Chargers, I do love the powder blue, but I still would pick and maybe it's because I'm, remembering the Dan Fouts days. I think I still would go with just those uniforms that they had forever, like the darker blue with but either way, like you can't go wrong. Some of them it's like it's all good, but yeah, there's just nothing like the Rams. I guess it was kind of cool, like when the Rams when they were the greatest show on turf and they kind of went to the gold and stuff. It's kind of a new thing. They're in St. Louis, but those uniforms are not as good as the classic Rams jerseys that they wear more now.
Yeah, like I think the current iteration of the Seahawks jerseys are awful. I think they're absolutely terrible. And then you look at like those 90s throwbacks where it's the silver helmet with, you got the blue jerseys and the green accent and the Seahawks. And it's like, why would you ever stop wearing that? Like, it just looks really good. And you've got this, I think the Seahawks jerseys now that they just won the Super Bowl in are absolutely awful. I can't stand them.
Yeah, and the throwbacks are fantastic. Keith says the Jacksonville Jaguars Color Rush mustard jersey has to be one of the worst of all time.
Horrific.
Yes. I still remember a nice Thursday night Color Rush combo of the Jags at Titans when they wore that. And it seriously, I think I wrote in the Tennessee, and it looked like the contents of a baby's diaper.
Yeah, for sure.
That these grown men were wearing. Someone also, the worst on this with the Ravens, I don't remember this, but did you see the mustard pants of the Ravens? Holy.
That must have been a one-time thing because I don't remember them ever doing that, but it's awful. Like that, whoever thought, let's wear some mustard-colored pants with this uniform combination. I don't know what was going on there. That had to be some sort of special occasion.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's hopefully it was one day. Taylor in Bellevue says, I love the classic Dolphins jersey when I was a kid. The new ones are so bad. Are the new ones that different?
They're different. I mean, I don't think they're, comparatively speaking to some other ones, they're not that different. But yeah, I mean, I would agree. The older Dolphins ones are good. I mean, I guess I do remember this, and the ones that made the cut here in this exercise for the Dolphins worst one. First off, it's a nice picture of like Ryan Tannehill at the line of scrimmage. It's like, yeah, get Tannehill in there. A little bit of FaceTime, but it's just like straight orange, like just straight orange uniforms for the Dolphins. And it's not great. I don't know if that's color rush or what that is, but it's not great.
I'm going to agree with this text. Not NFL, but the St. Louis Cardinals powder blue away baseball uniforms are the best across all sports. They have a case. Those blue unis, Yeah, I'm thinking Willie McGee, man.
Yeah.
I mean that they do have a case as the best.
Best jersey in sports. My favorite one. The basically the away sweater for the Rangers, New York Rangers. I think it's awesome.
That's pretty strong.
Pretty good stuff.
Later this summer, we will rank the top 450 uniforms in sports.
I can do that.
Get ready, everybody.
I can do that. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Did you hit her in the eye on purpose? Why did you do that to Caitlin?
It's a big year for my guy, Xavier Leggett.
No, I ain't think they, man,
Why does it take me 14 minutes to pee?
If I did, I would have washed my hands, I assure you.
Win one for the Pekka?
Ride that horse.
Much prefer a horse.
I think I sound as regular to where I'm from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
The untouchable Pekka. And you know, I have no complaints about home either.
It is time for the Rex Rant, brought to you by Rapid Response Generators. Power when it matters most. It's served by the Wine Cellar in Hendersonville. Joe Rexrode, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot. People continue to, I like this. Was that you? Impeccable timing. Look at you. A lot of people continue to bring up the Pekka statue conversation.
We'll get back into
timely.
it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get back into it. Yeah, but I'm going to take to task. You know, sometimes I read comments to you of stories I write, and you know they're like, "Fart you farting fart." You know, basically, but or way worse than that actually.
Fart you,
So-
I won't do what you tell me.
I knew it was coming.
Oh God. But so, and I know this is basically just me disguising more self-promotion, but we're doing this thing at the Athletic. We're trying to compete with the World Cup coverage, but looking back at the 90s, the next couple weeks, you have a bunch of stuff. So I started with a 90 things that we miss about it. Okay. Yesterday, but then 10 things we don't miss about it. And this is where people are arguing and are so full of crap. And I wish we could do alternative reality and actually go back to this. Now, look, you may feel differently about some of them. One of them is tie games. Like, I can't believe how many people.
Well, just for clarification, real quick, you're talking about in the 90s, things we missed about college football. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, college football. College football in the 90s, which, to me, you start with like Spurrier and all that stuff and the rivalries and all that. I think we talked some about that yesterday. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of what we missed. We missed like, hey, conferences that are actually geographically sensible and, not having all the ridiculous things that we have right now in college sports with realignment and everyone going to Congress and all that stuff. There's a lot, of course. But there's things we don't miss. Don't tell me that you miss tie games. I actually like Ralph Russo. I miss ties. No, college overtime is one of the best things that's happened to me, to the sport. And it started in 1996. If you tell me that you're okay with ties, I understand there's some famous tie games. The one famous in the 90s was the choke at Doak. For people who don't remember, Florida's up 31-3 at Florida State in the fourth quarter, and Florida State scores 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and it's a 31-all tie. Great. That's a famous result, but still, I'd like to see overtime in that game. So don't give me the tie games. Do not tell me, and I said another thing we don't miss, is plays where, like head-hunting plays where, like crackback blocks where you just annihilated people. Look, I understand people can talk about football being too soft now, and there are times when some of the calls and the targeting is very hazy and all that stuff. You go back and watch one of those games and some of those hits that were fine, kind of like before we knew exactly how much brain damage was being done to people, and you tell me that we should go back to that. I mean, there's probably a middle ground with some of the stuff. Do not tell me that. But the number one thing is replay. And I can't, this is something that people argue. Again, I understand, oh my God, this delay is ridiculous. Oh my God, instant replay and still like you got it wrong. There's a lot of complaints about instant replay. I promise you, if you go back to the 90s or even like the early 2000s or any time before that and watch a football game, there will be 2 or 3 plays in that game that are so horribly called and there's no way to fix it. And you will be like, oh my God, how did people do this? Again, there's some bad with it too. There's some bad with it too, but there's no way that anybody should want to go back to no instant replay. And that's something that people talk about. Like, let's just get rid of it. There's no way that you could do it. We could not, as a society, live in a world where there's no way to fix calls.
No, I'm totally with you there. Like, it's just got me thinking about like college football back in the day. There's already a headline at the Athletic that just pisses me off. I think it's from Stuart Mandel. It's like, hey, we're split national championships really so bad? Yes, they were.
I haven't read it yet, but that's definitely not something. Yeah, not something to miss. Yeah.
We don't need to go back to split national championships. It also, I mean, two things to be true. We don't need to go back to split national championships, and we don't have to have the college football playoff be 75 teams in there. We can find some sort of middle ground there on that front. I tell you this, one of the things, obviously I was born in 92, so I'm just a young pup in the true 90s part of this. But, late 90s, early 2000s, one of my earliest like football memories of watching football that didn't have anything to do with like Tennessee or, the Titans or Tennessee Oilers or whatever. I remember watching Michael Vick play at Virginia Tech and be like, oh my God, who is this guy? Like, he just, the way he would run around out there, some of the plays he would make. I mean, obviously we know what he did in the NFL and, the off-field stuff aside from it. He's an electrifying player. But Michael Vick at Virginia Tech is unbelievable.
Oh, man. As a freshman.
Yeah.
Like, as a freshman, and this is like, I think my brother had just graduated from there, but they had like huge crowds that would try to come to the like spring practices and stuff like that. I think it was early enrollee, unless maybe it was training camp. But as a freshman, I mean, he just absolutely superstar and almost wins a national championship for them, and loses to Peter Warwick and Chris Winkie in Florida State. But no, he's one of the really most exciting football players ever, really. And if you think about that guy in college football running around with the speed he had, but also the guy could throw the ball like 90 yards on a line. It was like Joe Milton's arm, but with running a 4.3 and actually accurate. Oh man.
Well, I remember when he got to Atlanta, like some of the stories about, they had to basically tell him to dial it back a little bit because he was breaking all his receivers' fingers because he was just throwing it so hard.
Yeah. No, truly unbelievable. Yeah, one of those players from them that you never forget. I do like this text. I miss 90s ticket prices. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
To go with everything else about college sports, like you could go to a game. You have to pay for a seat license. You didn't have to, have a minimum donation or whatever. I mean, it's like a family could just go and buy tickets and go to a game. And now it's like you have to be like whatever tier of donor. Unless you're talking about a bad team with a huge stadium.
I need to go back and look at this. I tell you one thing that I don't miss, because every now and then you'll see some of these old games come up on TV, whether it's like the SEC network playing something from the past or, NFL network on the pro football side of things. The run pass ratio, man, it used to be a lot of running the football. We've certainly thrown the ball a lot more over the last 20 years in football than we used to.
Well, and that's another thing about the 90s that was really exciting, was like the spread offense really started to take off in the 90s. Yep. There were some teams that threw it, but like Joe Tiller at Purdue, which of course early in his tenure, you get Drew Brees out there throwing around. I mean, some of the stuff they were doing 4 wide and just winging around the field. Bubble screens were new. People were like, what the heck is that? They're just throwing a screen out there and they got blockers out there. Wow. I mean, stuff like that. And then it started to spread. That's one thing about college football that I always loved, is just the schematic creativity and variance, right? I mean, even now, like watch Navy's offense. I mean, yes, there's always triple option stuff, but like Navy's offense is really fun and they throw it a decent amount and stuff like that. And
I remember when Oregon first started to run their offense with the tempo, and it was like, geez, what are these guys doing out there?
Exactly. And that's one of many things that we love about college football.
Yeah. The good old days. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Pekka Rinne in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Just the same day after I was railing on the statue. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Check them out at greenventureslandscaping.com. We are taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Pekka Rinne named to the Hockey Hall of Fame yesterday, Joe. And that comes just hours after we were talking about the statue out in front of Bridgestone Arena yesterday. We'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But he joins Carey Price, Patrice Bergeron, Cindy Curley, Keith Tkachuk in the players category, Brian Burke in the builder category of the Hockey Hall of Fame. So Pekka Rinne becoming the second homegrown Predator to get into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Shea Weber, obviously the first, and Pekka Rinne, the first Predator that spent his entire career with the Nashville Predators in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So I said at the beginning of the show, Joe, I will repeat it here. A couple of things on this. Number one, I am thrilled for Pekka Rinne. I mean, obviously, this needs really no discussion, but if you spent any time at all around Pekka Rinne, you know that he's a great guy, always, one of the nicest guys in the room that you're going to run into, to the point where, when he lost games, particularly like shootout games, and he looked like a sad puppy in there, you just felt so bad for the guy because you're like, geez, this guy just wears it on his sleeve. But a great guy, great player for the Predators. I said it earlier in the show. I think he's unquestionably probably the fan favorite in the history of the franchise when you just start breaking it down that way. And he's a great player. I am surprised he got in the Hall of Fame as quickly as he did, just to be honest with you. Like I said it earlier, a lot of discussions I've had about the Hall of Fame when it comes to the Predators with different people around the league over the last probably 5 years, where we're really centered on three people. It was like, Shea Weber, Roman Josi eventually, and Pekka Rinne. Like, what does that look like? And I have largely thought this way, and I think most people I've spoken with have kind of agreed that everybody expected Shea Weber to get in the Hall of Fame. Like, I didn't think it would be first ballot, but I expect him to get in the Hall of Fame. I expect one day that Roman Josi is going to be in the Hall of Fame. And if you asked me to pick one of those three that I thought maybe would be on the outside looking in, Pekka would have been the one. And some of it's like goalie and how hard it is to get in the Hall of Fame as a goalie. Some of it is, you look at some other goalies that haven't gotten in the Hall of Fame yet, and, they're comparable to Pekka. So I thought there was maybe a chance that he would be waiting a while, and maybe a chance he never would get in at all. I'm thrilled that he got in. Too, Joe, it is objectively hilarious that he got in on the same day where I was like, yeah, there's just the statue out there on the plaza at Bridgestone Arena. I'm just not a huge statue guy. I don't think I would have done that.
I'd like you today to rant about how Chase shouldn't give me a huge raise. Could you, just like go off on a tangent maybe?
Sure,
and then
whatever you want.
Magically, wake up tomorrow with a big briefcase of cash. No, it's amazing.
Don't put it in the briefcase. Watch out for that red PT Cruiser out there.
That's true. That is true. No, it's amazing timing. Truly amazing. As soon as that happened, let's see. I went into our grid and I put in all caps. Suck it, Robby. How you like my statue now?
That's good stuff.
I like to think in my mind of Pekka listening to the show yesterday and sort of, shaking his head like, oh, why does Robby hate me? And then this happened. But no, in all seriousness, I think that your statue take is sound. I do think that the next day, all of a sudden, everyone should feel a little bit better about that statue because it is now a Hockey Hall of Famer. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Hockey Hall of Fame, I still don't love the statue, but now that he's a Hockey Hall of Famer, it definitely adds some credence to it, right? Like it's, you're walking around a legend of the game out there when you're the Hockey Hall of Fame. So it definitely adds to it. Look, in terms of his career, I think what he did for the Predators, obviously he spent his entire career here. You've got the Finland part of this where I think he is the best Finnish goalie of all time. And that matters in these discussions. And we've talked about that as it relates to Yossi, who is, I mean, far and away the greatest Swiss hockey player of all time. That's going to matter when it comes to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And look, frankly, like I think Yossi has had a good enough NHL career where he probably is worthy of the Hall of Fame based on that anyway. But then you factor in the Swiss part of it, and in fact, he's the greatest Swiss player of all time. I just think he makes it a slam dunk. Like, I think he's going to get in the Hall of Fame. So it's the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's not the NHL Hall of Fame. And, you know, Pekka and his status as a Finnish goaltender matters in this discussion. And look, he had a great NHL career. I mean, you know, the interesting thing is, you know, Weber really didn't win anything at the NHL level in terms of like an award. Like, he never won a Norris Trophy,
which is crazy,
which is amazing. He should have, but he didn't. He never won a Norris Trophy. He got robbed of 2 of them, I think. I mean, you could make the argument for more, but definitely 2.
Nick Lidstrom apologizes.
Lidstrom was one of them for sure. I think the one of Carlson's was another. But, you know, he never won a Norris Trophy. Pekka did. Pekka won a Vezina, right? So that also matters in this discussion. It's going to matter with Yossi, too. He's won a Norris. So, like, those individual things matter in this. And I couldn't be happier for him. Like, I think it's awesome that you're talking about now somebody who was drafted in a round that does not exist in today's NHL that has carved out a Hall of Fame career for himself.
Yeah, the Vezina is huge, and I think the fact that he's the first ever Finnish goaltender. I mean, the Finland angle here is definitely something that probably was underrated a little bit. Right?
Yes.
Maybe in my mind, I probably underrated that a little bit. Talked earlier about how, you know, there's Red Wings fans who are mad. They're mad. You know, Red Wings fans don't have much going, so they're just hoping that all their players from glory days will get in, and mad that Pekka Rinne got in over Chris Osgood. And Pekka Rinne is a better player. You know, Chris Osgood won cups. It's a really interesting thing. You know, Pekka did not win any. Pekka Rinne, you want to play hypothetical sports, easily wins cups with those Red Wings teams. Let me tell you something, okay? I mean, Mike Vernon was the primary goaltender for one of them, and Osgood, and of course Dominik Hasek also, but he was pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah, but no question he does, and he's a better player than Chris Osgood. So it's like, you're still the goaltender for a cup winner, and so you can't take that away from someone. But at the same time, I mean, I think in the proper context, if you're just going to boil it down to those two, and again, I wouldn't have guessed either getting in, but if you're going to boil it down, then Pekka Rinne wins that one for sure.
I would agree. It is interesting. Like, I do think as a goalie, like the 400 win mark is a huge deal. Like, getting to 400 wins, and Osgood's there. Like, he got to 401, and that's not factoring in, you know, postseason stuff there. But, you know, Rinne was at 369.
Yep.
And it's, you know,
which is a good number.
It's a good number, right? So, you know, one of the interesting things is, like, and there's limitations to this stat too, because I think the era that you play in factors into this a lot. But I mean, Osgood, his career save percentage is .905, and it's .905, frankly, in a time where for a lot of his NHL career, especially like in the 90s, there just wasn't a whole lot of offense going on out there, right? Like, it was the clutch and grab era in the NHL, especially like late 90s into the early 2000s. And then they changed the rules after the lockout to open it up a little bit. But you're talking about a .905 career save percentage, and Pekka's is .917. Well, that may not seem like a big difference. That's a huge difference. Like, it's a large gap for a career as a save percentage.
Yeah. Nate is wondering, because the community work, how much does that matter? He's wondering if the statue had Pekka in a suit because of his community work. Would you feel better about the statue?
No, I mean, you don't. Listen, all respect in the world to Pekka and his community work. You're not putting a statue of a player on the plaza for the work they did in the community. I'm sorry. There's got to be a level of greatness on the ice that goes along with it.
By the way, can I just tell you that I'm re-triggered again because I went to read Alex Doherty's story about Pekka Rinne, and let me read the lead. Goaltender Pekka Rinne, the Nashville Predators' all-time leader in wins, has been elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. It was announced June 22nd. It was announced Monday, you freaking ghouls. The story already has a date on it.
By the way,
what are we doing?
You're not taking a shot at Alex there, just to be clear?
No, I promise you.
Tennessean.
And I have not asked him because I don't want any of my friends get in trouble. But I promise you that if I asked Alex about this and gave him truth serum, he would probably, and he's a very mild-mannered person, he'd probably scream louder than I am right now.
Could be.
Dude, the day was Monday. Whoever made this change in this company, this is insane.
Rexrode part 2.
Sorry.
Right here.
Mini rant. Over.
We'll take more of your reactions. 615-737-1025 to Pekka Rinne in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Long
Robby and
fuse.
Rexrode 1025 the game.
Under 30 seconds to play now. Crawford goes to the bench again. And Rinne takes a long elevated shot, bouncing, and he scores! Pekka Rinne scores into the empty net. Predators with a 5-2 lead. Pekka Rinne becomes the second Predators goaltender in team history to score a goal.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. I think we all remember what we were doing when we watched that one. That was good stuff. That was shortly after Johnny Hines took over, I believe, that year. He scores. It may have been like his second or third game, something like that. But maybe was it the goal that put him over the top into the Hall of Fame, Joe?
Maybe. Was it the goal that got the statue built?
Well,
we haven't talked
there were
about
people that when the statue was built said it should have been of him taking the shot on the goal.
That's a thought. Well, how about another one? Can we have like a series of statues that are sort of like animation? You know what I mean? Like, look, just ring around all of Bridgestone.
Should have had a statue of Rinne making a save on himself.
I agree.
Ooh,
listen, I stand by what I said. I stand by what I said. The statues, I think you need to be very selective on the statue. So, I mean, the Hall of Fame can't be the only bar, right? Like, they're going to go make one for Shea Weber and Roman Josi. I mean, they probably will for Josi.
What about like the statue, like, the Spider-Man meme where like the Spider-Mans are pointing at themselves? Rinne doing that,
Yeah.
A lot of possibilities here.
Could be good. I mean, I stand by it. I took a lot of crap yesterday in the aftermath of that conversation. It's okay. Not everybody has to agree with me all the time. I'm cool with it.
Yeah. No, it's I think it's amazing that society just like absolutely put it right in your face as soon as you said that.
Within hours. I mean, could not have. And I'll be totally honest with you. I had no idea. I just, I've been doing so much lately. I had no idea the Hockey Hall of Fame was making their announcement yesterday, which made it even better. Just had no clue that was even on the radar.
Yeah, Jess on the YouTube chat was wondering if like that was like a plan by us, like we were like setting it up. That'd be awesome if we could say we did.
Yeah.
But no.
We're not that smart.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you. I mean, look, one of the things that was so much fun watching Pekka play was when you felt like he was out of it, like you felt like he was totally out of the play, he would somehow find a way to get his body back across and make some incredible save. Like people in the YouTube chat right now are talking about the Vancouver series in 2011. I mean, the Predators had no business being in that series with Vancouver, right? Like, I mean, Vancouver on paper was just so much better than they were. And really a lot of times the games kind of played out that way. Like the Predators were basically holding on for dear life. And Pekka Rinne was just awesome. Like he was unbelievable in that series. And they didn't win that series, but he's the only reason it was even remotely competitive. He obviously, I mean, you go to 2017, what he did in the first round against Chicago. I mean, he made several saves throughout that whole run that were obviously crucial. I mean, he won the Vezina the next year. I think if you had to go back and ask him, and I think he's talked about this before, like the game that sticks with him the most that still bothers him would be Game 7 in 2018 against Winnipeg, right? Like it's just It started out so poorly for him, and the Predators just couldn't overcome it. I mean, that's the game that probably sticks with him the most when it comes back to games he could go back and change in his career. But that's just if you think back to watching him play, yes, he had the size. I think as he got older, he relied more on kind of like being a technically sound goalie. But early in his career, especially, like some of just the freakish athletic things he could do and contort his body the way he could. Like it was a lot of, he was a goalie that was fun to watch. And that's a hard thing to pull off, being a goalie that's fun to watch.
Yeah. The Vancouver series to me was like, from afar, that was like welcome to the league kind of thing, right? Like that's where a lot of people became aware of Pekka Rinne around the league outside of Nashville. I mean, it was a truly amazing performance. And, obviously the cup run and the Vezina. And brutal finish and just a wild, all over the place series against the Jets when really, I mean, I think you could make the case that I mean, neither of them won it that year, but through the duration of the season, they were the best two teams. Somehow playing in the second round. Good job, Gary Bettman. That'll change soon, right? Yeah,
right.
Apparently not. But I will say, we've talked about this before, but that was, and this is not getting someone in the Hall of Fame. This is not getting someone a statue built, but like Pekka Rinne sitting there in this era of everybody trying to hide people and not. I mean, I think other than the NFL, I think all the and maybe MLB of these sports, hockey and basketball, there's way too much hiding of people. Now Pekka stood there, took all the questions, kind of poured his heart out after that, and you had to feel for him, but also it was impressive. Yeah. A lot of respect for that and the way he carried himself.
Well, I mean, look, I could go on and on about the guy he is. I mean, there was one time I guess I missed out on interviewing him because he was doing something. I was on the training table. I don't remember what it was. He was doing something after practice and he couldn't get out to me. And he got in his car and he picked up the phone and he just called me. It was like, hey, I hear you were looking for me. Let's just talk. I mean, professional athletes just don't do that. I'm sorry. They just don't. And he did that a couple of times where he would just, hey, I know you were trying to get to me, just called. So it was awesome. So that's the type of guy he was. I was thinking back, people are bringing up the save he made in 2017 against Chicago.
Yeah.
Coming off the wall where he had to get back with it took the odd hop off the
game
boards.
3, I think.
Yeah, it was game three. And he had to dive back in and make a diving save there. And look, I always have kind of thought about this. Had the Stanley Cup final turned out differently and had they won that series, first off, the statue you'd probably be seeing is I remember the save he made. Maybe it was I can't remember if it was game 3 or 4, but it was on Crosby. Crosby was barreling down on him on the backhand. He made 2 or 3 saves right in a row, and the place just went nuts. That was probably, there are a lot of moments in the Stanley Cup final at home where that building got loud. There was nothing louder than that. The place went crazy when he made those saves.
Yeah. And I'll remember before game 3, which of course everybody was mesmerized. I mean, I was too, out on Broadway, as it's 1,000,000 degrees outside and the entire world is in downtown Nashville with the Stanley Cup final going on. But crazy to think, but there was questions for Laviolette about Soros and of course Laviolette wouldn't just say, hell no, what are you talking about? But the fans, as they came out for warm-ups and all of the chanting and everything supporting Pekka Rinne, which was and the building was just unbelievable. That one sticks out to me, like a goosebumps moment, before they even played that game. And then of course the way he responded on the ice. Too bad he couldn't, too bad. It was close, man. And obviously if this could have been the reason we talked about at some point. Well, this is why he just couldn't quite get in the Hall of Fame, because they couldn't quite finish the deal there. But instead, that's not the case. So good for him.
I know we do this a lot, and it's a hard thing to do just because it's, some people care about the Titans and not the Predators. Some people care about the Predators and not really the Titans. I do think there's a lot of people that care about both, right? There's a big crossover in those two fan bases. But now that he is we went through it earlier. Since the teams have been in Nashville. So, all due respect to Bruce Matthews, but since the teams have been in Nashville, he's the first one to play their entire career with one of these teams and end up in the Hall of Fame, right? What does that do does that add anything to how he's viewed, an all-time status of athletes in this city, which was already high, but does it elevate it at all?
Yeah, no, it's a great point to bring up because I wouldn't have thought about it in those terms, but that does mean something, I think. And I think it should elevate it. I would also ask, who will be the next person that you can say that about? And the answer could be Roman Josi.
Could be.
But we'll see.
We'll see. Yep, it could be. I mean, if things worked out great, Cam Ward, it'd be nice to play the entire time, but we're a long way away from that right now, right? There's a lot that's going to happen on that front. Jeff Simmons, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, it's a really good question. I don't know. You felt like maybe at one time you were on that path with Henry, but he's since gone. I mean, Henry's definitely going to get in the Hall of Fame, but it won't be in this criteria. I mean, Who knows? They may go win a Super Bowl in Baltimore. Then it's like, well, good Lord. People may remember him more as a Raven at that point.
Just more reason to hate the Ravens.
Yeah.
Already plenty of them.
Exactly. 615-737-1025. We'll get more of your thoughts on Pekka into the Hall of Fame, plus a big day yesterday with movement in the NBA. We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, big day in the NBA yesterday. Giannis, late last night, on the move from the Milwaukee Bucks to the Miami Heat. Bobby Portis joins him in the trek from Milwaukee to Miami. 4 players going back the other way from Miami. 3 first-round picks. There's another pick swap that's involved in there as well. So a mega deal in the NBA that sends Giannis down to the Miami Heat. What do you make of that move and that fit for Giannis down with the Miami Heat?
Well, I'm glad it wasn't the Celtics. So, yay, Miami Heat. Save us from having to watch the I don't know that Miami has enough to be like a contender in the East right now. I don't know what all they can do, will do, but they're going to be one of the stories of the NBA next year for sure. They gave up a lot. I mean, I know on the other side of the trade, there are people who think the Bucks, did pretty well for themselves. We know that Giannis has wanted out of there. I don't know why. The Milwaukee Admirals play in that town. I don't know why you would ever want to leave that, but
probably has to give up season tickets there too,
He's probably sick of all the attention the Admirals are getting, but
probably
it's a fascinating move. Eric Spoelstra with that player. Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in pro sports with that player. Very intriguing to me. So I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. They're going to have to do. I mean, they've got Giannis, they've got Bam Adebayo, so they've got a couple of really good players there. I mean, one of them obviously is a superstar in Giannis. I'm interested to see how they fill out the roster because I would agree with you. Like right now, I don't think that they're, some NBA championship threat. I'm interested to see how they fill out the roster there and what that ends up looking like. And then the other big move yesterday, Joe, is Dusty May going from coach of Michigan, coming off a national championship in college basketball, to now head coach of the Dallas Mavericks in a stunner yesterday in the coaching world. What do you make of that? And what do you make of the Mavs specifically as the job that Dusty May has chosen to leave college basketball for?
It's a promising job because Cooper Flagg looks like I'm going to be wrong about Cooper Flagg. I thought he'd be a fine NBA player, good NBA player. He might be better than that. He might be one of the dudes in the NBA in the next few years. They have 2 first-round picks tonight, I think 9 and 30. So all the things that have resulted from Nico Harrison making the brutal decision to trade Luka, you do have a young team with some promise, but still, it's not taking over. Frankly, it's not taking over like a team with Wemby on it, or SGA. And I'm being called an idiot in comments this morning. I know you'll be surprised to hear that. I just can't understand why people are going to look at this and dismiss the idea that this is a commentary on college athletics. It is a commentary on college athletics. I want you to find me any other coach who just won a national championship, who has what looks like a top 5 team coming back the next year with a chance to repeat, to make history, to be the 18th coach to win a second title at all. It's only 17 have ever done it. And the 9th to repeat. With everything that you have going, you are winning in this time period. You are doing it as well as anyone. 2 years at Michigan, one really good team that goes to Sweet 16, and then a great team that wins a historically good team. Did it perfectly last year with the portal. You can't do it better than Dusty May has done it in this era and taking advantage of this system. And yet it was too much for me. He's like, bye, I got to go. You can't tell me that's not a commentary on college athletics. And some people out here who cover it and have covered it their whole lives and love it, I get that. But you're being intellectually dishonest if you're looking at this and not seeing that this is a symptom of what is happening with college athletics.
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Mark?
How you doing? Hey, people, quit calling Joe Rexrode something that he's not now. Leave Joe alone now, Joe. You know I'm going to come on and protect you each and every time, you and Robby both, Ian included. So, listeners, do not throw things or throw shade at Joe Rexrode this morning. Why? Because I said it. Now, we get that out the way. But, hey, Robby, I know you're a big Heat fan. Robby, I thought that was a good trade. A good trade, not a great trade. I mean, I like Giannis, but he's really a power player. He's not a great outside shooter. Now, the key to that, you let Hero go. That's a lot, Robby. I would have tried to keep Hero if I could. I might would have let Norman Powell go because Powell, who they're trying to re-sign, is not a great shooter like Hero is. Now, on another front with that, Joe, Detroit Pistons have come in and they're kind of making a few waves where they're saying they want Hero. They're going to try to make some trades, I believe, to get Hero. Or Kyrie Irving. Or Kyrie Irving. I don't know if I don't know if Kyrie Irving and my guy could work in the backcourt together. Maybe they could, but Hero would be great for the Pistons and stuff. And they also need to look in the draft tonight and get them another big. They need to get another big to help out down in the blocks. That's what I'm looking at on that forefront. But you're talking about Cooper Flagg. Joe, I think that was a good trade that Dallas made. Luka was lazy at that time. He wasn't working and staying in shape like he should. I think Cooper Flagg will end up being a better player, especially an all-around player, than Luka ever be. Because Luka cannot defend. He can shoot, but he can't defend. And you're going to have to surround him at the Lakers with some defensive guys to make up for the problems Luka has on defense and stuff. But, Robby, I mean, y'all going to have to – you have got a great coach, Robby. I don't look at them being a big threat to get to the finals or anything like that unless they can put shooters. You got to have shooters around Giannis to make him become even better. And then, two, I'm waiting on the trade today. I'm hoping it happens. I want to see Jaylen Brown come out of Boston, Joe. I know you don't like the Boston Celtics, but I want to see Jaylen Brown come home and play with the Hawks. That's a good young team the Hawks got down there, and they're loaded with draft capital. And I really love to see Jaylen Brown come home to Atlanta and see what he could do with that roster. There's been a lot of talk that San Antonio might get in on it and try to get him too. That would be lethal too if you get Jaylen Brown over there with Wemby and all those guys. Brown's 30 years old, but they need a veteran that knows how to win and who can show them how to win. I think he would be a good player to go to that team because look, he's not coming back to Boston. They tried to trade him twice. So he's not going to want to come back there anymore or whatnot. But, yeah, Robby, I think your team is on the come up. They're going to need a few more pieces. Joe, I believe the Pistons are on the come up. But they're going to need a few more pieces also. But, hey, man, I got a breakfast for the day for you before I get off the phone. I got toast with omelet on it, with ham and cheese omelet on toast. And that's my breakfast for the day with orange juice. So, hey, man. Y'all have a good day, Robby. You and Ian and Joe, y'all have a good day. Hey, people, leave Joe Rexrode alone. Every time I call in, I'm going to say something to y'all. Leave him alone. We'll see y'all.
Thank you, Mark.
All right,
the Jaylen Brown part of that, there was rumors that Jaylen Brown was a part of the offer back to Milwaukee for Giannis.
Man, that is fascinating. Yeah, that's going to be interesting with him. I will say real quick. Talk about the Pistons. I am focusing on Hero would be amazing, but LeBaron Philon, who Sam Amick has taken, that to me would be perfect for the Pistons. Philon in the NBA, for people who watch him in Alabama, sometimes like guys get to the NBA and like it's actually like the game suits them a little more. I think he's going to be a heck of a change of pace, offense creating a guard in the NBA. So that's my target. They got to have more people who can create offense.
I think Caleb on the YouTube chat thinks that Giannis like sucks or something. I mean, he's never been able to shoot. Like this is not a new thing that Giannis can't shoot.
Right.
Now they didn't stop them from leading them to an NBA championship a few years ago. I mean, look, is he the same player as he was 3-4 years ago? Probably not. He still is only 31, and he was hurt this past year, and he averaged 28 a game, 28 and 10 rebounds. Like, if he's healthy, he can still play, still be pretty effective. Yes, if you're going to build a team, you got to get some shooters around him. There's no question about it, especially like when your two best players are Giannis and Bam Adebayo. the rest of your roster is going to have to be able to shoot, Joe. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Right. Yeah, it's not new, that he can't shoot. I mean, he has some things he can't do as well. He is an overwhelming physical dominant presence when he's rolling. To me, it's just about if he's able to stay healthy here moving forward, then it's definitely worth giving this a shot. That's the only question to me. And then, like you said, then what they surround him with.
NBA draft coming up. We'll get Joe's thoughts on what could be a historic NBA draft class. Who's going first? Who are we most excited about? We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Got some tickets to give away, a 4-pack of tickets to see the Sounds take on Gwinnett at First Horizon Park this Thursday. To caller number 3, 615-737-1025. Caller 3 will win a 4-pack of tickets to see the Sounds take on Gwinnett coming up at, this Thursday at First Horizon Park. Joe, the NBA draft getting underway tonight. We have talked about this class for a while. The heck of a year in college basketball as it relates to this year's class. Going to be a very fascinating draft tonight. So, Joe, what do you make of what we could see tonight? Who are you most intrigued by in this year's NBA draft?
Well, you start at the top, and it feels like DeBonsa.
Yep.
Probably going to be the pick, but there's obviously been a lot of debate there. I mean, the Darren Peterson thing, I think Darren Peterson might be the consensus guy there, if not for all the stuff this year and the hamstring and all the weirdness. I think some of the weirdness has been a little bit like exaggerated in the conversation leading up to the draft once we found out like the extent of the injury, but it was still weird, like going out, coming out, all that stuff. I mean, that probably hurts him a little bit. I still think Darren Peterson could be an unbelievable pro, and DeBonsa, same thing. So it's like that's probably like your top tier, and then you get into like
is Boozer going to Memphis?
I think so, and I think I like that. Boozer is never going to be an exciting player to watch in the NBA. He's not super athletic. He's just kind of he's not flashy. He's not dynamic, but he does everything well. And he's tough and strong and skilled. And I think as he moves forward, he's going to be more of a range shooter. And he's a winner, man. I like that a lot for Memphis. I think he's a centerpiece player. And then you get into there's just so many fascinating players.
A-Cuff, man.
Yeah, A-Cuff is just, Kingston Flemings too. You know, those two guys. Love them both. Caleb Wilson, I've heard people say he might have the highest. Another guy who's a freshman last year, still a long way to go. A lot of game left to refine for him. He's going to be tremendous.
Is Ahmed going in the top 10?
That's a good question. I think it's really close because you get into Flemings and you have A-Cuff and you have Mikal Brown from Louisville, as a guy who I don't think people realize how good he was because of the injuries last year. Keaton Wagler from Illinois is, tremendous. It's going to be really close with Nate. I'm looking at Sam Amick, and he's got him at 10 too. The now Giannis free Milwaukee Bucks.
Yep.
But he's going to be right around there, and then. You got the three Michigan guys we talked about are right there. There's just so many good players. I can't remember a draft anywhere close to this in terms of college players dominating, to this extent. Also in this mock, Bennett Sturts from Iowa. It's a guy who I think is another guy who the NBA is really going to suit him. He's a dead-eye shooter. He's big. He's long. I think he'll be fine defensively, and he's a tremendous passer and shooter. That's a guy who Sam has him at 16 to the Grizzlies. If they could get Sturts and Boozer together in this draft, that would be something else.
What if Ahmed goes to your boys out there in Golden State at 11?
I would not be mad.
Going for another cycle here, the championships.
Yeah, I would not be mad about that. I'm really interested. Obviously Steve Kerr has decided to come back.
What does that mean for Draymond? Where's your other boy going?
I don't know. I don't know. I've thought it's possible they would move him, but also I just don't see how, when you look at how they're constructed, you're just taking the heart and soul, especially of your team defensively, away if you move him. And also he is there. He is their point guard. He gets Steph shots like no one has ever been able.
But Steve Kerr's holding him back. That's what I've heard about this offseason. Steve Kerr is back on the Golden State, and Draymond's made it clear that he would have been the second coming of Magic Johnson had it not been for Steve Kerr holding him back there.
That is true. Maybe he needs to trade him so Draymond can be some other team's star offensive player. Yeah, I hope Draymond at one point at least sent a Texas Kerr yeah, that was dumb. Sorry, dude. I hope that happened at some point. But yeah,
I probably should have said that. Sorry.
Yeah. But Ament could be awesome there. Also, in this, they have Adai Mara Mara from Michigan, if anybody watched him at UCLA 2 years ago, it was pretty bad. Like, I covered the Tennessee game in the tournament, and I was like, wow, look at this guy. Look at him in warmups. He's 7'3". He can shoot. Look to shoot like that. He got passes, and then he just was. It was like he couldn't even play him in that game. A lot of the game. Then you look at what he did last year at Michigan, and it's like, ooh, okay. He's starting to fish out. That guy could be, in a few years, like, people could be looking back and saying, dude, how did that guy drop out of the top 10? I'd be really – I wonder if he's one of those guys that a team higher than you would think buys in on the upside, because he's 21, but he just started figuring it out.
I'll tell you this. It doesn't take long, at least for me, looking at this draft and how it could play out here, to look at the decision from Tyler Tanner to go back to college and be like, yeah, it's probably a good call, bud. Go back to college
100%.
and try this again next year.
No question. No, it was absolutely the right decision, because in a lot of years, and especially when you project Tyler Tanner stronger and better a year from now, I think Tyler Tanner could be a lottery pick in a year. And this year, he's a fringe first-round pick probably. He might be a second-round pick. No, I think for a lot of guys did go back, back to school who could have gone, and other years might have gone. But I think he's right around the top of that list of great job deciding to do that. And next year, you never know, but next year certainly won't be the college-dominated draft. You never know internationally how things are going to look. But I could see him being a fringe lottery guy in a year.
Going to be interesting to see how that goes tonight. Maybe there's some more big moves coming in the NBA. Joe, it's NHL draft week as well. We had Adam Kimelman on the show earlier. You can kind of feel it in the NHL. Like, there could be some big moves happening again this week. So it's an exciting time of player movement going on right now in sports, even if there's not a ton of actual sports going on. It's going to be interesting to see how this all shapes out this week.
Yeah, we got these drafts. We got the World Cup. Tigers beat the Yankees yesterday. Have won 4 in a row. Baseball almost exists again. You just, we got.
I guess we probably should mention that Oklahoma won the national championship last night. So there's that in College World Series too. Way to go, guys.
That's a perfect representation of, tough year for college baseball. It'll come back big time next year.
That's right. That's going to do it for us today here on the program. Hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their day. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.